for a child to die in a car, I think that is relevant and that should be brought in, because that sounds very dark to me. Why you would be, looking up that type of information, because it does sound like you have murder on your mind. If the prosecution has that information, and I'm not sure they do, but if they do, that's certainly relevant information for the jury to consider. That's number one. And number two, I think regarding the case of the Kayak lady, I think I think you're right. She does sound like an absolute kook to me. So I'm with you on that one. Regarding the case of the police shooting, look, there's just no conceivable legitimate justification that could possibly emerge, which any jury could hang their hats on to acquit these guys or even find them guilty of any kind of lesser offenses. And finally, regarding the sex case with the kids, I think you hit the nail on the head, Sarah. You got these young people, they're having sex, and it's one thing to engage in behavior that society still does not find fully appropriate. It's another thing once you're caught or once you think your reputation is damaged to start screaming rape and causing the system to crush people around you who you believe are hurting your reputation in the community. And that's essentially what happened here. Because you're right. If this girl was raped, why on earth is she sending these tender messages to this guy after the alleged incident? There's just no way to escape that.
Yeah, that bothered me. That really did bother me.
And I defer to
you want to weigh in?
Well, there's just so much. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think that the sex offender registry's got to be fixed. It's not serving when everybody's a registered sex offender, it doesn't do any good to alert the community of who the sex offenders are. The community needs to be alerted to the really, really bad people, and the other people should, maybe, give them a path to get off that. I went back and looked through some of my mitigation reports on sex offenders, and there one study I read that it said after tracking them for 17 years with no supervision or anything, less than 20% reoffend. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so and that goes down to 3 or 4% reoffend when they're being monitored and treated. And so so the key is to monitor and treat them and try to figure out who those 20% are, and try to clear the registry of the 80% that aren't going to reoffend. Because after a while, when there's a sex crime happens, and they go, okay, let's check all the sex offenders, and you pull up the map, and there's 600 of them. It doesn't really, it's not a really great investigative tool anymore. And so,
by the way, Dwane, did you happen to read this article today in the paper that a Secret Service agent who was working in the White House was just arrested for sexual violations? This guy was a Secret Service, and they guard the president, and he's sending out all these sexual messages to 13 and 14-year-old girls, trying to arrange sexual, meetings with them. These guys are everywhere. They're in government. Yeah. They're in business. They're
are
in schools. They're everywhere. How is this issue going to be addressed?
Well, it's a difficult issue.
You want to weigh in?
Sarah, you still there?
I'm here.
Hey, Sarah. Yeah,
hey,
I'll just comment on one of these cases, and I want to go back to the Justin Ross Harris thing and validate what you're saying. It has completely escaped my mind looking back relative to the internet searches, and I remember now clearly that was that's one of the things that got everybody fired up. That was kind of a pivot point for the whole thing, because I thought they were going to start getting pitchforks and lighting torches. It was, being down here in this area, it was boy, I tell you what, people were livid over this, and that was one of the triggers was the fact that he had gone on and done the searches about the animals, because just prior to that, I know that there had been a huge number of these cases where people had their dogs die in the car, and of course there were, even more important than that, there were small children that had either been left in a car and had harm come to them or had died immediately preceding this case. So when they mentioned that he was doing these searches, it, a light bulb kind of went off over the head, and it gave everybody pause to think. So, yeah, like Alex said, if this thing continues to move forward, I'm sure that the Cobb County DA is going to bring that back into play, and we'll see that folded into the tapestry of this case, I'm sure.
Right, because if that truly is factual and they can prove that he made those searches, I mean, that is premeditated, first-degree, horrific murder.
Yeah, it goes to his mindset and what his goal was. Again, I'm not the attorney. I don't know what kind of success the prosecution can have with this. I know my esteemed colleagues could probably address, using this kind of prosecution better than I ever could. But it seems to me, being a amateur lawyer, I guess, which I'm really not, that it would seem to me that this would be great ammunition.
Well, thank you, Joseph, for remembering. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go because I'm sure there's lots of callers, but everyone have a lovely evening, and thank you so much for taking my call.
Thanks for the
call, by the way,
Sarah.
Joe, you may be an amateur lawyer, but, I got news for you. Lawyers are afraid of guys like you.
Oh, Lord.
Because you come into court with all these, you come into court with all these graphs and laboratory analysis, and, you're a lawyer. You just want to run away.
Don't be too.
Well, here's what I tell people. I said, I can't do math and science. If I could do math and science, I'd be a doctor.
Let's go out
hire
to
people to do math and science.
Let's go out to Memphis, Tennessee, and let's say hello to Wanda. Good evening, Wanda. You're live on King Jordan Radio with Dwane Cates, Alex Sanchez, and Joseph Scott Morgan, and King Jordan here.
Hey,
your question
King,
or thought?
how are you?
Hi.
Hey, King. Hey, Dwane. Hey, Alex. And hey, Joseph.
Hey.
Hey,
so nice to talk to you all. Love
good
you
to talk
guys.
to you too.
No, I wanted to comment on the little boy that got shot. Him sitting in the car seat, not in the car seat, and in the front seat, is kind of gives me a clue. It's just stepping out. It's kind of standing out to me. There's not much in the news about this yet, about the two cops shooting this boy and his father. There's no mention of an ex-wife or a wife or a girlfriend. I'm just wondering, he wasn't in a car seat. It sounds to me, now I'm probably wrong, but it sounds to me like this could have been one of these, he had to hurry up and put him in the car thing. He just put him in the front seat. Maybe an ex-wife or his girlfriend or whoever called the cops and was relaying some information about this man. Maybe that's why they were chasing him. And I'm probably way off base, but this case just baffles me. And I was listening to y'all talking about it and you attorneys, and you too are all baffled. And wonder why there's no more news about this. I would love an opinion on that, because why are they keeping it so hush-hush? There has been no news except that little tidbit.
I can speak to this. I can speak to this pretty in the affirmative, because you've got cops investigating cops. That's precisely why. And they are going to remain tight-lipped, very tight-lipped, more so than they would if this was any other citizen. And you will only see, I was actually kind of surprised that the commander of the Louisiana State Police made the statements that he did. I don't know if my colleagues on the panel were as surprised as I was, but the fact that he came out and made these proclamations in a forum without just kind of playing it close to the vest, I found that kind of odd. But you're not going to hear a lot. Anything that you hear is probably not going to come from the police necessarily. You'll have unnamed sources that this thing is probably going to leak out from. It's the nature of investigations. When cops are involved in cases like this, they play it really close to the vest. So that's just my opinion, Wanda. I'm sure everybody else can speak to what they think about it.
I mean,
not only
horrible.
Wanda, not only are these police officers, as Joe just said, but one of them, this guy Greenhouse, I think his name is Greenhouse, his father is an assistant district attorney that works in the very office that would ordinarily be prosecuting this case. So this particular cop has other cops that are being very cautious about revealing information, and you could be certain that his father, who's an assistant district attorney, right, which means he's a lawyer, is advising his son, you keep your mouth shut, because I haven't heard one peep out of these cops as to what happened.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, Alex, like you say, you always say, pick up the phone and call a lawyer and keep your mouth shut. Well, I'm with y'all on this one. I don't think he can help his son now after, I don't think his DA father can help him too much now.
No, he's too far gone.
It's just horrible. But there's got to be more to it than just, there's got to be more to it than chasing down a father and shooting 18 rounds. It almost sounds like as if they were giving information about, someone gave information about this guy, and it was like horrible, and they just went on a chase. I don't know. I'm just trying to guess because it's just so horrific, and it's just such a mystery. And I listen to all of y'all, and y'all are just as baffled as I am. But I was just kind of wondering why, there was no more information being put out, and you did answer my questions, and I thank you so much, Joseph and Alex, on that. You're most welcome.
Thank you for the call, Wanda.
My pleasure, Wanda.
Thank you. It's so good talking to y'all. I love all you attorneys. Okay.
Call in next week,
Have a good
Wanda.
night.
We appreciate it. Absolutely.
Bye.
Care, Wanda. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.
Okay. Just one last thing. We have 2 minutes to go. There was a acquittal today on the Goodfellas trial. I don't know if you heard about that, Alex Sanchez, over here in New York. Any final thoughts about that?
Yeah, I did hear about it. And this guy, Vincent Asaro, was supposedly involved in the Lufthansa heist. That took place, like 35, 40 years ago or so. And it was profiled in that movie Goodfellas, I love that movie. But in any event, but this guy, Vincent Asaro, is 80. So they got this guy that's 80 years old on trial for a crime that was committed, like 40 years ago. And they have all these aging mobsters that can no longer make money being mobsters. So now they became turncoats and are testifying on behalf of the government. And, the case started to look ridiculous after a while. And they all got criminal records as long as your arm. They've all been involved in murders and crimes, and it looked like they were getting paid by the government. They had a stipend, like $3,000 a month, as long as they kept testifying. So, it almost seemed like, what was the point of prosecuting Asaro? I mean, the guy's going to be dead in about 2 years anyway. And we expended millions because they called about 70 witnesses in that case. That cost a lot of money to prosecute that.
It sure does.
And it was all for nothing. And you know what? They lost. I'm glad the government lost.
Hey,
thanks for listening about that. We have 20 seconds.
One thing
Go ahead.
I'd like to say to Alex real quick about this case.
15 seconds. Go right ahead.
Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Dwane, anything else? We have 10 seconds.
Well, I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to have to get an accent when I come back next time because everybody's got these great accents, and here I am, just plain.
Come back with